All rise. Oyez, oyez, oyez. Silence is commanded by this honorable commission. All those having business, draw near.
Thank you. Good morning, and you may be seated. As you're being seated, please, ma'am, please, sir, check your cell phones to repeat what the sheriff deputy said. Silence is commanded, and that includes cell phones, so that we go through these proceedings and we do it decent and in order. Our inspiration and invocation should come from Pastor Andre J. Osborne, who serves as the senior pastor of the First Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, and he has been leading this congregation since 2014. Since the age of 5, Pastor Osborne has been preaching. I remember, because we go that far back, I remember him as a young boy and Reverend Leslie Akins having him preach at different little intervals, and now he is the senior pastor, and he's also the moderator of the Berean Missionary Baptist Association and Southern Regional Vice President for the General Missionary Baptist Convention of Georgia. Without any further ado, let me introduce to some and present to others the Reverend Andre J. Osborne, who shall come and give us our inspiration and invocation. And when he signals time for prayer, we're going to ask you to stand and then remain standing as Commissioner Whiteley leads us in our pledge. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, commissioners, county officials, staff, and citizens, good morning to you. And it is my extreme and great privilege to be here today and offer this word of prayer and inspiration and what I feel is a unique admonition from God's word found in 1 Samuel 15 and verse number 17. And it simply says this: Then Samuel said, when you were little in your own sight, were you not made the head of the tribes of Israel? For the Lord anointed you king over Israel. My advice to all those who lead in this room is simply this: stay small. In a world where we are moved and motivated to look down on small things, I'm reminded about 15 years ago of banks that were labeled too big to fail but were failing. And even in modern history, a virus too small to see, and yet it was of such great significance that it changed the course of human history. Small things do matter. And here in 1 Samuel 15, being small in your own eyes speaks to the humility that Saul once demonstrated as a leader, and that his humility was the key to his elevation and to his success. God raised him up because he was small in his own eyes, or in other words, because he could see beyond himself. And often with leadership comes the temptation to make it more about us and our future plans than about the people we are called to lead. Remember, we're not here to make a name. We're here to make a difference. Worst of all, his pride caused him to think that he could move, act, and lead without direction from God. And we all may think that we're not in that place, but remember, prayerlessness is not the result of busyness. It is evidence of pridefulness. We're never too busy to pray, just too arrogant. Remember, God says, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray. Prayer is an expression of need. That God, I don't have all the answers, nor do I have all the wisdom, but I know you love our community. Yes, you love every family that resides here. Give me wisdom to govern. Give me wisdom to lead. Give me a heart to obey you. And as the word of Proverbs 11:2 says, that with humility comes wisdom. It was dependence on God that gave Joseph favor and administration, that made David a great king, that made Daniel a standout in government. The message from Joseph was that God was with him. The message from David was that he was a man after God's own heart. The message from Daniel was that he prayed 3 times daily. Oh, that we would depend on God in times like these in that way. And ultimately, friends, God's plan is to use small things. For Saul, it said, you were made king and declared God's anointed because you stayed small. It's like the words written to us in James, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, and he will exalt you in due time. If you stay small enough, long enough, God will make you big enough soon enough. God has a way of using small things. Both James 4:6 and 1 Peter 5:5 agree, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. And even in this season that we are celebrating, we are reminded that if we stay small, God uses small things for God's glory. Because when he sent his son, it wasn't to the big city of Jerusalem, but a small, sleepy bedroom community called Bethlehem. He wasn't born to a family of royalty or nobility. No, he was born to a small family in poverty. Was not to reside in the large palaces of Jerusalem. No, was born and lain in a manger in a barn. And when they came to look for the one who would be called the Savior of the world, he was not a man in the temple of Jerusalem, but a child of whom it was said the government will rest upon his shoulders. God can use small things. In closing, I'm reminding of a story of a boy who went in a candy shop with his mama. And the candy shop owner said, you can take whatever you can get in your hands. The boy didn't move. And after some time, the candy shop owner simply reached in with his hands and gave the boy some candy, and the boy turned around and walked away. When Mama asked him about it, he said, Mama, I looked at my small hands and I looked at his big hands, and his big hands were bigger than mine. I want to encourage you today to put things in the hands of the Lord, to seek him and to go to him, knowing the limitation of your own hands. And if we can realize the limitation in our hands, it'll make us give an invitation for his hands. And so, Lord, today we recognize our limitations. And in humility, we ask for your help. And I ask for your help, Lord, for these who have been called by you to lead in the times in which we live. We know, Lord God, that leadership and authority does not come from the north, south, the east, or the west, but it comes from you. Your word to Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel was that heaven rules. And so we know, Lord God, that ultimately it is you that's in charge. But I pray today, Lord, that you would give our leaders direction, that their hearts, Lord God, would be humble and moldable before you, so that you can lead them and direct them and guide them so that our community continues to prosper. I thank you, Lord God, for making our county a city on a hill, a light to all the world, and an example of what happens if we put you first. I pray, Lord God, for the hurting in our community. You know not only the prosperity of our community, but you know its pains. Today, would you give our leaders wisdom and give them unique strategies and solutions, not only to minister, Lord God, to our prosperities, but to help those today who are in pain. And we will lift you up. We'll give you glory because it all belongs to you. We thank you. In your name we pray. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
May we stand? Commissioner Whiteley. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Do we have the certificate? They didn't bring it? Okay. Pastor, I want to thank you for coming and bringing us your words of inspiration and your invocation to us here at the County Commission. We thank you for allowing us to be a part of your busy day. All right? Thank you so much. Love and peace and joy. Roll call.
Chester A. Ellis, Chairman.
Present.
Helen L. Stone, District 1, Vice Chairman. Dean Kicklighter, District 7, Chairman Pro Tem.
Here.
Melinda Scott Hodge, District 2. Bobby Lockett, District 3.
Here.
Patrick K. Farrell, District 4.
Here.
Tanya Milton, District 5. Aaron Whiteley, District 6.
Here.
Kenneth A. Adams, District 8.
All right, may I have a motion from a member of the commission to excuse Commissioner Stone? She's off at NACO at our national organization on behalf of the county, as well as Commissioner Hodge. She's at ACCG in Athens on behalf of the commission.
So moved, Mr. Chair. I move that we excuse both of those commissioners.
Second.
Properly motion and second that the commissioners be excused. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right, thank you. Also, let me ask for excuse for Commissioner Adams. All right, and again, I'm gonna say, as I said before, let us keep him in our prayers. He needs a medical excuse for not being here.
Second.
Properly motion and second that we excuse Commissioner Adams. Ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right, thank you. All right, at this time, let me call on Commissioner Whiteley for our youth commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So good morning, everyone. I want to take a second to introduce two of the Chatham County Youth Commissioners. Joining us today, we have Miss Sydney Campbell, who is a sophomore at St. Vincent's Academy. And we also have Miss Mariah Cade, who is a junior at Savannah Arts Academy. And so I want to thank you ladies for being here. Just so you know, you guys are, as youth commissioners, you enjoy the same privileges as us. So if you have any questions during any of the proceedings, please just raise your hand so you could be recognized by the chairman. And we hope that you chip in today. All right, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Please enjoy and be a part of our procedures today. At this time, too, let me also welcome to our front. We have one of the council members from Tybee. What you saying? Oh, there, okay. I was looking over here. All right, Tony, good to see you, and thank you for being a part of these proceedings. We don't have any proclamations or special presentations. We don't have any chairman's items or commissioner items. We don't have any table items on the table. We go to items for individual action. At this time, to request board approval of the following budget amendments and transfers. One, in the general fund, increased transfers in from the storm disaster fund, $487,541 for Hurricane Debbie to be returned to the fund balance. And the opioid settlement fund carry forth unexpended balance fiscal year 2024 as shown in attachment 1. 3, in the state and local fiscal recovery fund, excuse me, carry a forward unexpended balance fiscal year 2024 as shown in attachment 1. B, transfer funds between projects as listed in attachment 2. 4, in the community development block grant carry forth unexpended balance fiscal year 2024 as shown in attachment 1. 5, in the local assistance and tribal consistency fund carry forth unexpended balance for FY24 as shown in attachment 1. 6, in the multi-grant fund carry forth unexpended balance fiscal year 2024 as shown in attachment 1. 7, in the storm disaster fund as listed in attachment 3, increased transfer out of the general funds $483,541. Increased transfer out of the to the special service district $113,622. C, increased federal revenue reserves $2,163. All right, increased Hurricane Debbie project budget $1,403,900. In the special service district, A, transfer $51,000 from contingency to increase traffic light repair and maintenance. B, increased transfers in from the storm disaster fund, $113,622 for Hurricane Debbie to be transferred to the fund balance. In the sales tax 7 fund, transfer and amend budget project. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Properly motion is second that the grant be, to request be approved, be granted. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right. 2, resolution urging the governor and the General Assembly of Georgia to continue efforts to reform and improve mental health services for citizens of Georgia. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Properly motion is second that the resolution be approved. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor signify by casting your votes. Okay. 3, resolution authorizing participation in the ACCG, Interlocal Risk Management Agency's Supplemental Medical Accident and Disability Fund, First Responders PTSD program. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the resolution, Mr. Chairman.
I second that motion.
Properly motion is second that the resolution be approved. Ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right. 4, request board consideration as to whether the county should rescind to Garden City petition for de-annexation from city into unincorporated area of Chatham County. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
it's come to my attention that I think there may be people in the audience here to talk for or against this.
Okay.
But I'll leave that totally up to you if you would like a motion before or after they speak, because I wouldn't mind hearing whatever.
All right, so that we can stay on the same page and stay inside the legal lines, let me have a motion to open up a public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Properly motion and second that we open up a public hearing on the Garden City annexation, de-annexation now only, all right? Ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right? Public, forum is now open. All those who want to sign, whether you are for or against, please, we got the pad? Do we have the pad? All right, let's get one.
Mr. Chairman, this public hearing is only for collecting information
Yeah,
only.
that's why I made it, make sure that they knew it was only about the annexation. This is only for information purposes only, okay? Then afterwards, we can go. But please, if you're for or against, if you want to speak, you need to come and sign up with the manager right now. Just wait a minute, let me finish. Let me finish getting everybody signed up. Come on, if you come to sign up, please come and sign up. You need to sign. If you want to speak now, you need to come and sign up. That's for or against, even if you're an attorney who represent any portions of this. All right.
Good morning.
Wait a minute.
Sure.
Slow down. Hold on just a minute. I'm coming. All right, Mr. Manager.
Yes, we have 5 people signed up, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
First is Miss Diane Grant.
Okay, Ms. Brandon. All right, now, there are 5 people who signed up now, all right? So because those 5 people gonna make comments now, don't mean that you can spurt up now and you wanna sign up. You have your opportunity to sign up now. I wanna make sure I'm crystal clear on what we're doing because we have to keep it in the information forum, all right? We have that? We have that? All right, please state your name, address, and for the records.
How much time do I have?
My discretion.
Oh, okay, thank you. My name's Diane Brannon. I'm a resident of unincorporated Chatham County. I live on Silcope Road. I've been dubbed mayor of Silcope Road by my residents in that area because I've talked to all of them about issues that affect us deeply. Believe it or not, there are two Silcope Roads. I reside in unincorporated, but I also know people that live in the Garden City side of Silcope Road. Silcope Road was cut in half by Dean Forrest years ago. This acreage that's in question, there are two parcels that are currently zoned IL that are being used for trucking storage and container storage. Those parcels, it's my understanding, they're looking to recombine with three other parcels. I'm told that the three other parcels are primarily wetlands. How in the world do you develop that? And it's gorgeous property, by the way. All of it affronts, most of it affronts water. So I don't know why somebody wouldn't find a spot in there and put a house in there. Go figure, it's beautiful. So annex if you have to, if you want to grab that trucking plaza money, tax money, go ahead. I had to laugh when I read this because, oh my gosh, Garden City's offloading a pain because that was an old zoning that apparently they had to deal with that came back to haunt them. It was ill-considered with the trucking and the IL zoning. They couldn't back that out. And when they wanted to put in a trucking plaza, that's what inspired them to put in buffers, fencing. I don't know who developed that. They did a great job with that, by the way. Okay, in fact, I'm going to send you pictures, if you don't mind. I want to circulate the pictures before I walk away from here because we need this. And you're going to see me back here in the next 2 months pushing for buffers, okay, and fencing and more spacing between residential, heavy industrial, and trucking, yes, trucking yards too. But there's no, if you have to annex, grab their money, that's fine, but there's no way that the adjoining three parcels should ever be considered for development. I mean, how do you develop a section of canals and wetlands and good grief, it's at least, 8 feet lower than the raised platform of the trucking yard. I drove through there this morning. I couldn't believe the difference in elevation. It's practically zero elevation going to the marsh. How do you develop that? So be prepared for that. They're going to come at you wanting to develop that into trucking. I'm going to caution you as you move forward. Garden City rejected that petition for rezoning because they didn't want to do poor decision-making after poor decision-making. They realized it was a mistake in hindsight to do any kind of trucking plaza on Ogeechee Road because it's primarily commuter traffic. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. Plus, not even 2 miles away, they're putting in 500 apartments. That's coming online. One has been completed. That's the Waterleaf apartment complex, not even 2 miles away. Right next to Kroger Shopping, there's at least another 250, maybe 300 apartments going in. That many more commuter cars going on Ogeechee Road. Come on, don't send us any more trucks, especially a 30-acre trucking plaza, which is what they would be putting in on that very, very low land right next to this trucking yard that's already laid out. Beautiful trucking yard. I mean, again, they did a great job on it. That was something Garden City insisted on. And y'all, it spared the quality of commute on Ogeechee Road. You ought to see these pictures. I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you so much. God bless you for your service. Here, Dean, I'm going to hand
All right, if you want us to see those, hold it in. Let them give them to Janice, and what Janice and those can do can have them copied and give all of us. All right.
And
Janice,
I
if
think
you
that's
will.
it. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you. All right, let's go to the next one. Please state your name and address for the records.
I'm Joseph Kemker. I live at 306 Oak Street in Bloomingdale, Georgia, but I happen to be involved with this property, tied up with my brother, my two brothers and my mother, 5235 Ogeechee Road. And we developed that truck yard next door. Me and my two brothers own it, as well as Mr. Eric Tucker. I'm glad that you appreciate the design and the buffers and whatnot. The property next to it, 5235 Ogeechee Road, It is low. We have no intention as of turning it into a truck yard at this time. We just want out of Garden City, that's all. We don't have city water, we don't have city sewer. You know, we understand that it's probably something that's not coming this way anytime soon, but it's just, you know, my father annexed in back in 2009 with Garden City, and it's just been nothing but a headache to us, and we'd rather just come back to the fold in unincorporated Chatham County. I feel like we've had so many issues with Garden City over the past 3 years that we just want out. That's all. And we'll take the zoning as it's put on here. We requested IL because the taxes that we pay on that property are industrial taxes. And the SAGES map, ever since 2009, has shown us as industrial. It makes sense that we would be industrial, but if you want to put us in there as C2, I'm fine with that as well. It's just, for us, it's just about coming back to unincorporated and being out of Garden City. And if you need me to elaborate more on that, I can, but that is a big, thick book as to reasons why we want to be out of there.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Manager.
Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning.
I'm Kevin Beckwith. I live in my residence at 5231 Ogeechee Road. So I am buffered from Ogeechee Road by the Kemker property, which is 5235, and those lots. I bought that property in 2021. I did my due diligence. At that time, the SAGES map had everything around me as industrial. And my intention was to live there for 7 to 10 years until my children graduated from high school in a nice property back off the street, surrounded by woods. And then when the time came, since it was industrial, I assumed that I would have no problem in getting my property rezoned from its current status of residential agricultural. So 3 months after I moved into the property, the signs started popping up, and I agree that the Kemker truck yard, which is adjacent to my property, they've done a good job and they've held out what they were going to do, and they've abided by all of that. It has not damaged the commute on Ogeechee Road in any way. GDOT put a decel lane over in that area. I pull out of that driveway every morning and in and out of that driveway every afternoon and on weekends and everything else. I rarely even see a truck going into or out of that truck yard. So you have to accept the way that things go. The truck yard has actually devalued my residential property because now my driveway has a truck yard that constitutes half of my entryway into my property. So when I was approached to consider selling the property, I agreed to do it because the writing was already on the wall for that area. And one thing that I will tell you is that we got a good faith offer from Saya Corporation, which is a national company that's done other good work in this area. They weren't going to build a trucking plaza. They were going to build a cross-docking facility plus office space that would have employed over 100 people in Chatham County with an average income of $92,000 per job. They asked nothing from Garden City. They didn't need water run down there. They asked for no tax incentives. And they were under contract with us for a year in good faith as we moved towards trying to satisfy Garden City, who would not be mollified. The objective, as I understand it, but cannot confirm it, was to build low-income housing over there. A project like that is absolutely not feasible. They built up the truck yard that was already built there by 4 feet. Okay? It would require 4 to 5 feet to build up these tracts that are under consideration there. And that total is close to 30 acres. And yes, so it's $6 million worth of site prep before anybody does anything. But it is a desirable location for industrial development. My property in particular, I'm on the high ground. I'm not quite as low as the adjacent properties. But I'd like to point out a couple of things. These properties are not wetlands. They are not wetlands on the Corps of Engineers map or anything else. There is marshland adjacent to Salt Creek, but most of this extends back from Salt Creek and is absolutely suitable to be built up. And there's already access into the property, so it is absolutely a developable property. But when you're looking at, for instance, residential development, with the requirement that you're going to be $6 million in, not including the purchase price of the property, almost any residential development is unfeasible. I am orphaned back there. I'm the only one that's got residential development. It is a pretty property, but considering that it is now already adjacent to industrial, nobody's going to pay me even what I paid for the property 4 or 5 years ago as property values have continued to decline. In fact, I appealed to the Board of Assessors for tax relief, and they valued my property at over $150,000. They honored that appeal, and they valued my property at $150,000 less than what I paid for it. So I'm shot out back there, okay? It is not suitable for residential. It's not suitable for residential development. It's suitable for commercial or industrial development. It's back from the road. The buffers can provide no problem with community, I guess you would call it community aesthetics. And the way that the property is situated, it would not contribute to traffic. SIA had proposed that they would do all of their operations other than the administrative jobs in their office space, that they would conduct those at night. So, you know, it's not wetlands, it's not 8 feet lower. They're not putting in a trucking plaza there. I went in there in good faith after having done my due diligence, assuming that the SAGES map was correct and had been zoned industrial for many years before I bought the property. So I'm almost done. I would like to submit that a major corporation coming into an almost unusable tract of land for residential that is properly done with the proper aesthetics and the proper attention to community impact is very suitable there. There are not 50 mailboxes around us here. We're surrounded by 500 or 600 acres that's owned by Rick Myers, that's timberland, and it's operated as such. You got the creek on one side, 500 acres on the other side, and then this plat with our properties on it. So there is no impact whatsoever from community aesthetics. And when you consider that you're basically looking at tax revenues coming in from these tracts for no purpose in a sense, versus getting quality manufacturing, industrial, or transportation in there with jobs, tax revenues, et cetera, well, then you've got enough activity over there to fill up those 500 apartments. So I would like to ask that my property, or that all properties, that we go in either as industrial or at least as heavy commercial or whatever, so that that property can go to its highest value, both for the residents, for the county, and of course for us, the property owners. Any questions?
All right. Commissioner Keeler.
You're the owner of the actual property
I
that
own
we're
it.
speaking about then?
I live there.
Okay,
I
how
have a
many
house.
acres is it?
11.3 in my tract, that's one of the 3 or 4 pieces back there. I've got a nice home down there. It's about 400 yards from Salt Creek.
Okay. Would you agree that that's some of the prettiest land in all of Chatham County?
I'll put it this way.
Top 10%?
If you can get to it, it's pretty land, but now you're driving alongside truck yards just to access the property. So you're not gonna have Paula Dean come and build a mansion on that property because she would be driving by a truck yard to get back there.
So your opinion is because,
It's already been
because you
diminished.
might have one eyesore that you could hide, that legitimizes turning the whole thing into an eyesore? Everything should just go industrial now?
I appreciate that direction of thought, but it's not an eyesore now, and it will never be an eyesore. But what it is one person in one house on that property, and I don't think that that's the highest value to the county from a standpoint of business, tax revenues, or anything else. The property is ripe for development. Tell you what we have had over there is the walking dead from these encampments coming onto our property over and over and over again that we have to run off. We've had break-ins over there, people camping out on the property. It's actually hazardous. I've got two girls, 12 and 16, and I'm on edge all the time because of what's going on back on that property. And, you know, I'm not going to call out anything. I will tell you this, though. I have a good heart, and I have a heart that pays attention to a lot of things. I've done a lot of work with Urban Hope here in this community. I'm not trying to do this to roll over community interest. But I think that our best interest would be served by having 100 jobs on that property and to have a nice development by professional companies that doesn't interfere with traffic or anything else. We want the zoning. You're still going to have to approve anything that goes in there when we get a contract, when we get buyers on the property. But the property has a lot of value if we're zoned properly, and it, you know, it has practically no value if it's not zoned. No value or benefit to Chatham County if it's not zoned properly.
Okay, I've heard, that's good. I appreciate you answering my question. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Next, Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir, Ms. Belinda Kimmer.
She's gonna pronounce her name and her address when she comes up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nervous, but I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
My name is Belinda Kimker. I live at 124 Bellgate Drive, Pooler, Georgia. I am the owner of the property 5235 Ogeechee Road in Savannah. I'm here on behalf of myself and my family and Mr. Beckwith to ask you to please annex us back into Chatham County. Years ago, my husband, who's deceased now, was told if we annexed into Garden City that we would receive water and sewage, which of course has never prevailed, and I'm okay with that. But after all of what's happened in the last 3 years, it has been devastating to me to have to deal with this. And all I'm asking for today is to please de-annex me out of Garden City, because I feel like that they didn't have my best interest at heart, and I'm just praying that you will, for me to go on and possibly sell this property and have some closure. That's all I'm asking, is to please, if you will, just de-annex me out and let me move on and graciously come into your unincorporated. Thank you.
All right.
Are there any questions for me? I'm willing to answer anything, if I can.
Go ahead.
When you were annexed in the year like 2000 or 1999, you said you were told?
Yes, back then, my husband went and talked with those at Garden City. Yeah, it's 2009, basically, is when we were annexed in.
I thought we took all that, Garden City took all that area in 98 or 99.
Well, we were incorporated at that time. We annexed out of unincorporated Chatham County into Garden City. And that was done back in 2009. But like I say, my husband was talked with them, and we were told, well, if you annex in, we'll do our very best. We will bring, try to bring you city water and city sewage so that we could sell the property at some point in time. But of course, that's never happened, nor will it ever happen, according to them.
So are you on the same side of the street? Are we talking on the same property
Yes,
as the
sir.
gentleman that just spoke?
Yes, sir, I am in front. Mr. Beckwith's property is behind me. I own 11.7 acres of the property. My sons own 4 acres in front of me. We're all tied in. And like I say, as Mr. Beckworth spoke of, we did have a buyer, and it was a very good deal for all of us. But because of the complications that were thrown up, we got right down to a couple of weeks before the zoning was supposed to take place, and the corporation just gave up after a meeting. And so therefore, I'm just asking to please, if possible, understand where I stand, and if you can and will, please de-annex my property, annex it into Chatham
All right,
County.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right.
If I may,
Sure, what?
I just want to state that I was actually mayor of Garden City in 1998 and 1999.
Yes, sir.
And it was me at the time that pushed for the annexation, and
Oh.
it was voted on in a dual referendum. And I talked then in public hearings and was very honest, because I was very much aware of what we were annexing, that we were annexing areas with people very much satisfied with their small wells that wouldn't like the idea of being forced into tapping into public water and public sewer. So I let them know before annexation even took place that there was a very good chance that we would never even attempt to run water and sewer to the entire area we annexed. And we virtually doubled the size of the city at that point. And at that point in time, and I've not even lived in Garden City for 25 years now. I've been in Pooler for 25 years. But at that time, I envisioned, as I stated, I feel like that's some of the prettiest property around, that whole side. It was everything across from one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Chatham County, which is Southbridge. I pictured very high-end home sales going in because Garden City had a dwindling population prior to that annexation. And their survival was pretty much relying on, we took in 4,000 more people right off the bat with the annexation, but that area in the future to grow residentially and not more industrial. Industrial is what's eating their current city alive right now. And I just want to say, because I feel for you in the situation that y'all are in, but what y'all are asking us to do, in my opinion, actually is almost, which y'all wouldn't know this, it's actually spot annexation. It's actually against state laws for a city to annex and create an island. So this is asking us to do the reverse of that. And it's actually creates an island there. And it would be completely surrounded by Garden City because we annexed Dean Forest Road and we annexed Highway 17. So this would put it all within side of Garden City. It would be surrounded north, south, east, and west by the city of Garden City, which breaks all the annexation rules. And I see you shaking your head out there. That's actually true of what I'm stating.
No, I'm scared. Please don't do that. No, please now. I've got to have law and order. All right.
You're completely surrounded by Garden City currently.
There,
How is
Mr.
that
Kick,
not the case?
I'm just going to say that up and down 17, there are some individuals that are unincorporated up and down 17, and there are some people that are Garden City.
That's on the other side of Dean Forest, though.
I think there's a few possibly on my side, on down the road, not attached to my property, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
But I think there's some properties above. But there again, I am not an attorney, and I don't prove to be. I just know what was said to my husband and was repeated to me in 2009. I was not in the city meetings. I can't swear to any of what you're saying. It could be true, and what he's saying could be true. I don't know. I just know that I'm just asking if I could possibly annex out.
Okay, and I appreciate it, and I understand your request, and I wish someone would have even told y'all before y'all began this long process that I recently fought like crazy to keep directly across the street from there from going industrial, and got it denied. I mean, literally right across Dean Forest Road, on the same corners there, we denied that going industrial there. And so it's even goes against our vision of what we have planned for the area too. So that's all. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Any more questions before?
All right, wait a minute. Attorney, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to make sure we got a record that y'all know what is before you today, okay? First of all, the only thing that's before you today is whether to go along with the de-annexation or not go along with the de-annexation. Now, if they want to rezone their property,
Yeah, the rezoning is not on the
they'll
map.
have to come back and go
Right.
through the zoning procedures, because the Zoning Procedure Act requires that. So it's a two-step process if you decide to allow them to de-annex. I also received a message from Jim Gerard, who is the city attorney of Garden City, just a minute ago. And he called and said he wanted to make sure that we knew that Garden City was not the moving party for the de-annexation. This was a property owner's request, and Garden City approved and went along with it, for whatever that's worth.
What staff is doing now is trying to pull up because some us asked for the map, so they're trying to pull up the map. Give them a minute to map. Go ahead and finish, John.
And if you are concerned about whether it creates or doesn't create an island, I don't have an answer to that today, but you could table that and bring it back and then take that piece of information where everybody knows what it does and does not do and when it was annexed.
All right, now, is what we have on the screen, is that the map that we can use?
Okay. I couldn't tell you because I don't look at Sage's maps. I don't want to
Okay.
tell you that.
All right, then let's, all right, just hold it, let's stop that. Let's cut it right there, okay? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, who's next?
Kim Lyle.
Hi, I'm Kim Lyle with Berkshire Hathaway. My address is 9 West Gordon Street in downtown Savannah.
Speak up a little louder for me, please.
Okay.
Speak up a little louder. We may, tell PRO, we might have to bring out the hand mail mic.
9 West Gordon is where I live.
Okay,
In downtown Savannah, Georgia. Okay. So this property you're talking about, this is part of it. You're missing the truck yard. So the truck yard is over on the other side. That's also included in what they're asking for.
And now, let me say this, just a comment before you, all right? We're not even talking about the truck yard, all right?
No.
That's not a part of what this de-annexation is.
No, it is.
That might be somebody else's purpose or thing, but that's what the attorney is trying to tell us. What we need to stick with is what the de-annexation part of. All right,
That's
so let's
correct.
stick on that side, okay?
That's correct.
All right,
And the
come
truck
on.
yard, the truck yard is part of it.
All right,
The truck yard is part of the de-annexation. So you're missing one of the parcels on your map, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, the truck yard is part of the de-annexation. It is included.
I thought it wasn't, John.
Yeah, here she goes. This is the correct map. See, the truck yard is over here. The Kempers and Beckwith are actually the island of Garden City.
Okay. So
So now, see, I think you're confused. I think you're thinking Lebanon
I'm
Plantation.
thinking the other side of the street.
You are.
Yes.
So, next to this is the nursery, Rosebud or something nursery. And then that's Chatham County. Next to that is Kathy and Don Grimm, Chatham County. So this would just complete that side of the road being Chatham County. Do you see what I'm saying?
I got it. I got it.
So really, in my opinion, being a realtor, it should have always stayed Chatham County because it's a Garden City island. See,
we definitely need a table,
Well,
because we've
that's-
been looking at a
that's-
whole
that's-
different piece of
Yeah,
property.
yeah, listen, all right, just hold right. Somebody else was supposed to speak?
No, that's it, Mr. Chairman.
She done?
We need to
Listen,
close the public hearing.
you open up some eyes and
Thank you.
doors and some ears. so
Yeah, we're
let
not
me-
even
let me-
looking at the
all right,
same
all
property
right,
that y'all have been speaking about.
Right, okay, now let me do this. Let me have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved, Mr.
could I
Chairman.
just speak first?
Well, that's what I want you to hold, because what I wanna do is give the commission the opportunity to get the information we need, because the first map we showed is not the right map, this map here is more of a, and then there's another one that we have up here, and that's what's our confusion, all right?
Okay.
And so, if you would just hold it and be patient with me, I'll get you where you wanna go.
Thank
all
you
right?
so much.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, now, do I have a motion to close?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Second.
All right, properly motion second that we close the public hearing. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right, every vote is in. Now, let me have a motion to table this.
Motion to table.
All right, been properly motion and second that we table this. All right, are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right, now, in the meantime, Mr. Manager and the attorneys and stuff, let's get all the information and the facts in here, all right? Because again, we off basis. So, number 4 is tabled.
What is it that you specifically want to know? Is it an island, not an island, or the general surrounding area, what it looks like?
Are we talking about the piece of property abutting the Progressive Center?
No, this is across
Okay, that's,
17.
That's where the confusion is.
exactly the confusion.
That's where the confusion is.
Yeah.
Okay.
This request, so please disregard everything I said, makes a whole lot more sense than the other requests. So
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
So listen, it's tabled now, all right? And I'm gonna shut the commissioners off and I'm gonna shut everybody else off, because what's gonna happen now is the staff gonna go and get us the information. They'll be in touch with you and you be in touch with them, all right? So that when they come back off the table at our next meeting, we'll have all the facts and figures. And everybody up here know I'm data-driven and I'm fact-based, all right? And right now, I'm sitting in in the midst of confusion because there is 1, 2, 3 different maps that's telling us 3 different things, all right? So now it's tabled. Let's move on.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I just want to ask, to answer the attorney's question, in your new imagery that is presented to us, can you please reflect the city of Savannah and Garden City and unincorporated
limits.
boundaries, please?
Right. Yeah, that's something we really need to know, all right? So
And
what
Chairman-
exactly are we talking about?
Sure.
But that will get us where we need to be. Yes, sir.
And I just want to let y'all know, the part I was talking about, or thought that we were talking about, was literally the wetlands, basically. If you're looking at the Progressive Center where our boat ramp and all is, that part from there to Dean Forest Road on the corner. And I'm thinking, my God, who can build anything on that? And that's what we were all thinking. I mean,
Yeah. See, and that's part
so
of the
from the maps
disinformation
we
talking
saw,
about.
so thank y'all for being here.
Yeah.
And we'll look at it and hopefully
right.
give an educated vote on next time, so.
Okay, we where we are, we where we need to be right now, and so we'll table it and bring all the information and facts in. Let us go to the action calendar now, and the first thing we need to do with the action calendar is, we want to table item 15D, is that right?
14D.
14D?
Yes, sir.
Mine say
Excuse me, 15D.
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 All right. Let me have a motion to table number 15D.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Properly motion and second that we table item 15D. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your, yeah, I'm coming to that. No, I'm coming. The pull-off I'm coming to, I need you to vote. All right, there we go. Now, let us, give me a motion to, accept the action calendar's entirety except 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Mr.
Right.
Chairman, I move that we accept the action calendar in its entirety, with the exception of items 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Properly motion and second that we accept the action calendar's entirety except 7, 8, 9, and 10. Are you ready for the question? Please cast your votes. Need you to vote. All right, we ready there. Now, let me have, Mr.
Ms.
Manager.
Cooler, I'll
All
ask
right.
Ms. Cooler to come to the
Now,
podium.
what I wanted to do is I wanted her to speak of 7, 8, 9, and 10, but let me put the motion on the floor first, all right?
Mr. Chairman,
Motion to,
I make a motion to approve this.
okay?
Second.
Properly motion and second that we approve or ready for the question. Now, Ms. Cooler.
Okay, if
Cooler,
I-
you gonna give us information on 7, 8, 9, and 10? Yes, sir. The attorney first.
Number 7 is an intergovernmental, excuse me, yeah, is an intergovernmental agreement.
Right.
Between Chatham County and the city of Savannah.
Right.
And the developer, I might add, which I think is kind of a win-win-win for everybody. Little Neck Road was a small road that was a county road, mostly agrarian-type area. It's a boom area now. There's several very large developments that are going to be put in. This is one of those developments that will be put in. The developer has been cooperative. They're going to pay for the SL lanes and decel lanes into their development. And they're also going to they're going to put in water and sewer, and they're going to allow the county to hook into their water and sewer system so that we can run a water and sewer line to Scottsdale Park, which we're getting ready to do a lot of recreational improvements out there, and it'll save us a pretty substantial sum of money. The city wants to annex that area and bring that development, which is gonna be a kind of a mixed-use residential type development, into the city. The county had initially objected to that, based on the fact that it didn't uncreate an island. Since that time, we've had a lot of discussions with them, and we were very concerned that the road as it was could not handle that kind of traffic, because you're talking 500 units, and then further down the road, you got the Hopeton Plantation that the phase 1 of that will probably have 300 or 400 units in it itself. As a result of that, we were able to talk with the city, and the city staff was cooperative. The city attorney was excellent to deal with. And basically what we've got is we got phase 1, for lack of a better term, from the Ogeechee Road to the I-95 bridge, which the county is going to 4-lane, okay? And that project, the city of Savannah, since that'll be in front of Hopeton Plantation, is willing to go on a 50-50 split as to the cost of constructing and widening that road. That is a good thing. The second part of this is we put language in this intergovernmental agreement that says when there is a designated project and when we have sufficient funds to do the designated project, that from the I-95 bridge to I-16, we will 4-lane that, and we will also cost share on that. And I think that will move that project along a little sooner. And that road absolutely needs to be 4-laned.
Thank you,
So I think it's a win for everybody.
Chairman.
All right, yes, sir.
I just want to state that that's just number 7. I wanted to pull 7, 8, 9, and 10 off so the public out in that area can understand what's taking place now. These are some really great things. This also, just on number 7 here, has a major positive effect for the Bush Road area. This area in question was once an area where people wanted to put huge warehouses, and no longer, with a lot of good work from the staff and commission and everyone with Savannah and developers. The developers have bent over backwards to promise good things, such as they're not going to even use an entrance off of Bush Road. They will be just on Little Neck, I guess, there, Little Neck, and not Bush Road. So there will be no additional traffic there. And again, everyone pitching in, like the attorney said, to help fund the widening of the roads around it itself. So alone on number 7, this is major. And also it ties in a little bit more, I believe this, if not 8, 9, and 10. Can you elaborate on the Bush Road for people who are understandably right this second very concerned with potholes? There's a gentleman messaging me so upset, and I understand it because Savannah owns it. We used to maintain it. Where are we at on that? Can y'all update where we're at? Because we've got a dangerous situation on Bush Road right now with potholes.
No. These agreements are for John Carter Road. Currently, we're still negotiating and working with the city for Bush Road, so we don't have an update at this time for Bush Road.
Okay, so
but-
that's definitely underway, and we believe that's going to happen where they take over maintenance after we, with them, we're trying to
Yes.
cost share on the
So-
development and widening of Bush, correct?
So yes, we are working towards an agreement for Bush Road that would allow it to be rebuilt up to current standards, and then the city take over maintenance.
Okay, well, can we agree, staff agree today that we can fill some potholes until that road is properly maintained by someone, that we can send someone out to fix the potholes where we don't have?
We'll have Public Works go out and do an assessment and make necessary upgrades, repairs that's needed now. But as Ms. Cooler indicated, we are working with the city. It's gonna take some major rebuilding of that road.
Right.
And we're working with them now, and what the county attorney has put together on Little Neck Road will serve as the kind of template for how we deal with other areas.
Right.
So Bush Road will be similar to that.
So yeah, basically, I wanted the citizens in that area to understand that the long-range plan is gonna be wonderful. It'll be actually fixed, done right. There will be a definite knowledge of who's supposed to maintain, but in the meantime, I want these people that live there to understand that we're not going to, I think I sent a picture yesterday of about 5 metal sheets over potholes going down the road. We have to maintain until Savannah takes over. So, all right, thank you, and with your permission, we can move on to number 8.
No, let her go ahead, and because what we did now is we took off 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Right.
Let her go ahead and because all of it goes together.
It does.
All right, and there's another part of that I'll bring out after
That
you
was
make
one
your
improvement on the
presentation.
west side, 8's
Yeah,
another, so.
Yeah, go ahead and make your
I'm sorry.
presentation, because there's some other things I need to bring out when it comes to that. Because there are 2 other partners that we need to involve in this too. Go ahead.
Right. So as part of the 2024 resurfacing package, the county is going to resurface John Carter Road in its entirety from Little Neck Road to Old River Road. And with these agreements, the staff worked with Bloomingdale and City of Savannah to get those municipalities to refund the county for the portion of that roadway that's in their jurisdiction. So staff worked really hard with those. The other is number 10, where the county is installing a temporary traffic signal at John Carter and Little Neck Road. And the city of Bloomingdale has agreed, once it's installed, that they will maintain that and pay the energy cost for it. So that is also a win for the county and for the citizens in that area. I will also say that coming on the next agenda, the next meeting, we'll have another agreement with Bloomingdale, where Bloomingdale is going to issue a contract for resurfacing of Little Neck Road from 16 to City of Savannah city limits, and the county will pay its portion that is unincorporated of that. So there's a lot of really good work going on with the municipalities in these areas where the annexations have encroached and caused a lot of heartburn for the unincorporated residents.
Thank you. And I wanted all that pulled off to actually thank the staff. People out there, you can read on any message board on social media, they're understandably not enjoying the traffic situations and everything. But the county has taken the lead big time, and this is a major first step of bringing in all of the cities along with the county to actually plan some for the future. All the hodgepodge annexations that's taken place over the years pretty much created a disaster when it comes to planning, because we had Bloomingdale in one area with the road, Chatham with a small section, Savannah with a section, and in the end, it was the citizens that lost. But thanks to y'all, we're now doing what needs to be done, and they're about to see some major improvements out there. So thank you all very much.
All right, and just before you leave now, to let them know that this, right now, what we see before us in 7, 8, 9, and 10 is the one Chatham concept between Bloomingdale, Pooler, Port Wentworth, Garden City, City of Savannah, and the county. But now, along the same stretch at Little Neck Road, we also have coming in with us as partners is GDOT and the feds. And the reason we have to bring them in is because if we four-lane the road up to the bridge, all right, you're gonna create a bottleneck at the bridge, because the bridge will be 2-lane and the road will be 4-lane. See, so we actually will be creating the, so we're working with GDOT and working with the feds, because only the feds can widen the bridge or give us the permission to widen, am I right? Correct. So all these are happening at the same time, all right? So what will happen along Little Neck from Ogeechee Road until it goes to Jimmy DeLoach, all right? Because it's Little Neck Road on one side, and then when you get to 16 and cross over, it's Bloomingdale Road, and then when you get past Bloomingdale Road, you get to Highway 8, it becomes Jimmy DeLoach Parkway. All these things are connected. So therefore, we have to get the federal permission that we're working on now. We slated to meet in Atlanta sometime real soon, right? In January? All right, because what we're trying to get the feds to do at the same time, we widen Little Neck Road, we widen the bridge, those two bridges, so that 4 lanes can go over across the bridge rather than come into a bottleneck. But I just wanted to add that in. I know you know, but a lot of folks who, so when I look at this, the thing that makes me smile about this is all of us coming together to agree on what we need to do and what's best for those folks who are gonna live in that area, and all those development coming along, and how we gonna be able to handle the truck traffic as well as the car traffic, all right? Because if you can be a visionary and look forward to 5, 10 years from now, wherein now you may have 300 cars on that road a day, you're gonna have 9,000. When you get through with all those subdivisions and things being built in there. And so therefore we have to be prepared. We on the pro side now, being proactive is what I mean. So this agreement we got the motion, we got the second to agree to it, we got the explanation, and now you know that it's just not just the city and the municipalities, but it's also the state and the federal partnering with us on this project too.
And I want to compliment you as well as the staff and this commission on one other thing now that we're on this. All of y'all thought bigger. Pat Farrell and myself fought like crazy a while back to try to make sure that Quaco Road was 4-laned all the way in. Mm-hmm. And we fought an uphill battle. When we got all you guys in, y'all really started looking at the future. You working with the state and feds and everything. The city of Pooler's going to do their part. We will be 4-laning Quaco Road too.
Quaco Road as well, yeah.
So we're about to open up some areas now, which is going to be not too soon, but
and see,
very much needed.
Quaco Road is another one of those multi-jurisdictional
Exactly.
roads. It's Quaco Road, then it becomes Pooler Parkway, then it becomes Airway Avenue, then it becomes Gulfstream Road, then it becomes Crossgate Road. All right, and so it's all one really, but it goes through multiple jurisdictions as well as unincorporated. So we're in the conversation with those two on the federal and state level as well as on the local level, that we all come together and come up with a plan that's beneficial to everyone, all right? Having said all that now, we've gone on that. Now,
Thank y'all.
ready for the please cast your votes.
Motion to approve all 4.
That's already in.
Second.
Cast your votes. All right, so done, so approved. We through with the action calendar.
Yes, Chairman
All right?
Mariah has a.
Yes, ma'am.
So I was going to ask, what are your key considerations for prioritizing these upcoming events with the budget?
Say it again.
I said, what are the key considerations for prioritizing the upcoming projects within the budget constraints?
The key concerns for the upcoming budget? All right, they're multiple. Let me explain you the process, all right? Right now in December, the staff starts working with, first of all, our constitutional officers. They've got to submit a budget, all right? And the staff starts looking at what the tax revenue is and what we can and cannot do. And they will be working from now until March, or it goes beyond March. It's March? All right. They'll be working from now till March. You've got upcoming budget-wise, you've got constitutional officers in there, you got nonprofits in there, you got road projects, you got drainage projects, what am I missing? Sewer projects. We've got the fire hydrants in there. So it's multiple layers, all right? What I will do now is I will ask staff to give them an outline, all right, of where we're going with the budget now. So right now, staff is only working with budget, not commissioners, all right? If a commissioner wants to look at something in the budget, he has to give it to staff and let them vet it. They have to do the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s and come up with what we can and cannot afford, all right? And then it gets narrowed down, all right, from the staff standpoints. Then it comes to the commissioner in April. That's what you're telling me, April? They will present us a tentative budget, and it's tentative because nothing is approved, all right? We will look at it, all right, and the commission will then make suggestions as to what we do. And finally, in June, they will bring us present us with the budget, and the commissioners then will start to make changes or whatever with the staff, all right? So we'll have budget hearings in June, okay? But now, before that time, we would already had public hearings with all our constitutional officers who have to submit a budget. Department heads, each department will submit a budget to the Finance Committee, and we'll work through that. So it starts in December, but it doesn't end until in June. That's for the upcoming budget. Now, the budget we have now is already in set. It came in July 1, and it goes out June 30th. So we work cross years, all right? So that's the budget we're working with now. So the things you saw us just pass and the things we're working on, that's already in the budget, all right? That money has already been identified. We cannot start a project until money is identified where it is, where you're gonna pay for it and how you're gonna pay for it. One of the things that we just passed was we had federal funds called ARPA, and we have to spend that before the 31st of this month. So that's why we're using that money now, because I'm not sending no money back, okay? I'm dead set against sending money back. So that's how the budget is worked on. And I don't know, maybe, Mr. Manager, maybe we can have, with the whole youth commissioner, maybe we can have a budget workshop as to this so they'll know how the budget cycle works, all right? And so that's why people can't just walk up in here and say, I need $500,000, can y'all give it to me? We say, yeah, it's gotta be in the budget. Plus, the other thing we work off is the blueprint, all right? Make sure you all get a copy of the blueprint. There are 5 areas of the blueprint, and we must make sure everything in the budget works within those blueprints because those are our guidelines, those are our walking steps, okay? Did I answer your question? I know it's long, but we help you get the information you need. I'm glad you're interested in it because being a part of the budgetary process is the main thing that happens up here, all right? Anything else? All right, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it. All right, we go to first readers. Amendment to Chapter 21, Article 12, Section 21-1203, 1 of the County Code to levy of fire tax in the Fire Service District Ordinance for Fire Protection Service. This is the first reader. Next meeting up, we'll take it up in its entirety. All right? We're going on now to the second reader, and I understand while I'm reading it, and we need to pull up somebody on the, isn't there someone who wants to come in on Zoom? All right, so we'll be ready for that, all right? The petitioner, One Gateway Boulevard LLC, is proposing to rezone/map amendments to convert an existing hotel development into a multifamily residential use located at 1 East Gateway Boulevard, MPC file number Z-0824-000-494, PIN 11028-01017. The MPC recommends approval with conditions. All right? So, yes, sir.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Brad Clement. I'm from Development Services at the Metropolitan Planning Commission. I will be brief, as I was schooled by Commissioner Kicklighter to cut it to the quick. You read the request. It is a rezoning. This represents redevelopment opportunity and something that has previously been planned community business. The area, and we brought maps. There was some spatial confusion earlier, not on the MPC's dime. We put you right where it is. So this is near the intersection of 95 and 204 before it becomes Fort Argyle, the hotel, restaurant, commercial side, Ruby Tuesdays, that area. Right? This was the former Best Western Ramada Inn with the Denny's. It is gone through a couple of different ownerships. This rezoning request changes it from that commercial hotel use to a residential use, a single room efficiency apartment residential use. The conditions are the important part of this staff report. The county doesn't actually have a single room occupancy use in their zoning ordinance. City of Savannah does. The MPC applied very similar conditions to mirror the City of Savannah use and development conditions so that there would not be jurisdictional competition for this use going forward. This is a new phase of development or redevelopment, if you will. The developer is not from Savannah, but has had several successful projects in other urban areas. So we're willing to give this a chance without doing a text amendment. We applied conditions, and if we're meeting these conditions, we'll see how it goes. And for the record, if Mr. Chairman doesn't mind, I'd like to read those conditions. The maximum number of residential units shall not exceed 120. That's in line with the structure as it exists. We do not have a general or specific development plan in terms of construction or reconfiguration of the hotel structure itself, but it's not a knock down, build over again type development project. On-site management shall be present on a 24-hour basis. It's not a send your check to Atlanta and done project. There will be somebody responsible for that property on the property 24 hours a day. Number 3, the minimum rental period shall be 30 days. 30 days is the magic number. If we're a long-term hotel, long-term stay hotel, at the end of 30 days, you got to get out, go somewhere else for a day and come back. So this makes it residential in character, thus the ask for rezoning and not keeping it commercial tied to a long-term stay. This is not that. These are intended to be long-term residential units. 4, a minimum of 1,200 square feet of indoor common area shall be provided for the use. This is a one-for-one from the Savannah Code of Ordinances. Can't go to the county because they don't have that requirement. Can't go to the city because you want an atrium. It's same. On-site laundry facilities shall be provided. That's a little self-explanatory. That's a requirement for dwelling units across all jurisdictions. The petitioner shall partner with Chatham Area Transit in the construction of a bus shelter at the bus stop existing along that Gateway Boulevard corridor. Because of the residential use and potential traffic generated in that commercial corridor, there's an existing bus route. It only makes sense to provide that extension of further service with a bus stop. And number 7, and this is something I'm going to defer to the attorney on, a management plan shall be submitted to Chatham County Commission at the time of consideration consisting of the following: Number A, a detailed description of the applicant screening processes, criteria, and residency requirements. Number B, standard rental procedures. And number C, a detailed description of supportive services that will be provided, including a list of service providers. Pending your questions, that's all I have.
All right, any questions for him? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for that, Mr. Clement. So just so I'm clear, this, should it be changed to residential, if the management wanted to remove somebody, they would have to go through the regular dispossessory process?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, you go ahead. I got everybody? Anybody else? All right, let me do this now before you go. I got you. I saw you looking at me, so hold what you got. Now, in any rezoning, all right, we have to have a public hearing. Okay, right? All right, now, so what I want to do now is get a motion and a second to do, do you need to speak to what he said before I go there? I can go ahead and,
Yes.
okay. Give me a motion, let's go to a public hearing.
Motion to open a public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Properly motion and second that we go to the public hearing. You're ready for the question. Please cast your votes. We all in. Good. Now, you want to go or you want me to bring in,
The main thing we want to do is make sure, we got a definition section in our zoning code about efficiency apartments or one-room boarding, okay? We have no zoning classification for that.
all right.
So what you're doing is you're taking that definition and saying, we're going to insert it into this zoning classification, and it fits in the general scheme of things, but it's not a zoning classification designed specifically for this. But at the same time, this gives us the opportunity to see how well this works without going in and doing a text amendment in which we have this classification county-wide, okay? Now, one of the requirements that we're going to have in here is that building safety and regulatory services will need to see their plans and approve them, and they will monitor construction throughout. This is a motel, built in the 70s. And you're gonna have at least 2 people living in those rooms, okay? You gotta have a bathroom, you gotta have closets, you gotta have a kitchen with a sink. And you gotta be able to cook in it. And you gotta be able to vent that. And you gotta have a wiring system that's up to code. So all of that must be achieved before this happens. Now, we'll work with them in the process, but they're gonna have to show us what they're gonna do and get it approved before we do it. The condition number 7 is the conditions of they're gonna tell us how they're gonna operate it and what they're gonna operate it for, and how they're gonna, what they're gonna do, what services they will or will not provide. For example, they list they're gonna have an in-house laundry system for them. It's connected to what was formerly a restaurant, about 10,000 square feet. And some of that's going to be converted into a common area. We want to see what that's like. And we are going to be monitoring this very closely.
All right, go ahead, question.
Yeah, my question would be, when it comes to, and I know this is not technically public housing, I like the concept of, it's a tiny house in a sense, so a little bit more affordable housing. But when it comes to public housing, does the federal government not require something now with certain types of felonies that they must be kicked out of the public housing?
I don't know whether there's federal regs on that. I doubt that seriously. But a lot of the public housing projects have requirements that persons with felonies we will not rent to, and we do not want them around kids. So, yeah, they evict people if you rent to a mother and 2 children, and he or she decides they're going to have somebody move in with them that they're not married to or part of the family, then they'll act.
Okay, so my question would be, can we look at possible rules and actually ordinances because we're not talking government housing, but in a sense, we're talking very reduced, lower income housing.
No, this is gonna be at market rate, whatever market rate is for a one-room efficiency. It's not gonna be government subsidized. So there'll be 120 of these in the hotel,
Right,
and they're gonna enter into separate leases.
yeah.
And the leases have to be longer than 30 days, or else it'd be a short-term rental, and we're not going down that road, okay?
And I'm not even saying all felony. I mean, I'm saying, should we look at certain violent felony, certain, you know, not necessarily
Well,
everything, because people do deserve a chance, but
One of the
yeah, I wouldn't want a killer living next door to me that got out. I mean,
One of the concerns you have anytime you do this is you got a one room. And, you know, these were hotel rooms that had 2 double beds in them. Put 2 double beds in them, you got no room to put a kitchen in or anything, or having any living space.
yeah.
So I think there needs to be a limit on the number of people that can occupy a unit. It's probably not ideal for a family of 4, let's put it that way.
So we should, is it in your legal opinion, what we should, you're not prepared to throw a number out there for us, are you, at this point? I mean, something we should look into before
Well,
we
you're
approve or
talking
deny?
between 280 and 300 square feet. That's a tiny house. And, you know, you put 2 people as big as myself, there ain't a lot of room to live in when you put the 2 bodies in there. So
Right.
you just need to be aware of that.
You finished?
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Whiteley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So one thing, when you speak about, our colleague Commissioner Kicklighter spoke about a vetting process, I'm eager to hear what their vetting process would be, and I assume that as part of condition number 7, they would give us some insight into that. But I do also want to make sure that we are cautioned and not overstepping our bounds as it comes to property rights, because what I don't want to do, just because these are efficiency homes, let's not assume that a killer or a rapist or whomever, an undesirable neighbor, quote unquote, will stay there because they live in our home subdivisions now. So just because it's an efficiency unit, I don't want us to almost stereotype this space to assume that this is now going to become, you know, the Carter off of New Jack City. Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about. The last thing I will say is I do agree with some sort of occupancy limits as a means of safety. And I want to make sure that, and I'm eager to hear from the developer to kind of see what their thoughts are behind this. But I also want folks to understand that we have people currently, families of 4, living in hotels now. So I don't want us to go and try to over-enforce something that's currently happening now. Part of this is hopefully a chip off of the issue of affordable housing that we have, or at least helping us chip away at that issue. And so I think we have to be mindful and sensitive to the realities that our citizens are facing in the county. So I want to be sure that we state that piece. The last piece I want to say is I was very impressed to hear that they're going to help update that bus stop over there on the Gateway, because it's a mess there. And again, the last piece, I'm hopeful that this type of a development fosters a spirit of ownership or a local buy-in. Currently in this area, we are experiencing a lot of vagrancy and homelessness, but I don't want to say homelessness as much as I'll say vagrancy. Homelessness is somebody who doesn't have a place to live, but when you're walking through hotel parking lots, checking doors, when you're pulling out weapons, when you're panhandling in certain areas or going in and stealing breakfast, that's vagrancy. And I want us to draw a strict line against that. I know that there are some folks in the audience who are here for something that's not on the agenda today, But I want to be clear that there is a stark contrast between homelessness and vagrancy. And vagrancy is what we're trying to get rid of in this area. So I'm excited to see what happens at this location.
Commissioner Kicklight?
Thank you.
Yeah, so for some reason, your mic kind of whistling.
I see it keeps going off automatically here.
Yeah.
So somebody, who's silencing me back there?
That's some gremlins.
I just want to state that I absolutely understand where you're coming from about stereotypes, but the sad fact of reality is that it is nice to think great things about everything in life, but it's not a stereotype. The sad fact is higher crime rates come in lower socioeconomic areas. I mean, a fact. You can check it. I mean, it's sad. And some of the higher areas, you're going to have higher income areas. You may have like a condo situation that has a HOA that enforces stricter rules. Usually, the stricter rules, for whatever reason, and I don't understand why, never seem to be implemented in the lower economic situations, where if there was like an HOA overseeing a lower income housing area like that, it would keep it nicer and force it to stay nicer. Because let's face it, I mean, that's the difference in all the neighborhoods now is the ones, sadly, the ones with the HOAs, they are not always, it's not the rule, but they're usually maintained a little better than the ones without an HOA. And that's all I'm saying, is if we can look at whatever area, because I was the one actually that I think first, or maybe not first, but I spoke about putting tiny homes in, allowing it to rezone areas where things such as this could go in. And I was actually thinking more of building little tiny homes, letting them buy their small plot of land. And I, in my mind, had an HOA, and everybody's governed like they would be in some fancy, expensive place, and it stays nice and neat, and everyone has their own nice homes that they take care of like that. Yeah, but this does the same thing as far as giving someone a home at a smaller size and a smaller rate, but I just want to make sure we implement or put whatever in place to make sure that it don't backfire and turn into just some type of slums. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, now we do have someone who's coming in by Zoom. It is open. We did that already. Yeah, that's fine. Do we have that? All right. Who is it? And okay. All right. Mr. Wilbank, you have the floor. Can he hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Is the commission able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go forward.
Hey, good morning. I appreciate everyone's time today. So I represent the buyer of this property who will be developing it as outlined to the commission earlier. I heard quite a few questions that were brought up by some of the commission, and I'm happy to answer those if they want to kind of ask those directly. I'll try to hit on a few that I recall off the top of my head. So most recently, we had some questions around HOA, how the property would be managed, and then the market rate and the affordability. So I'd like to state that the product will be affordable by nature, but as mentioned, it is not going to be subsidized. The smaller square footage of these studio apartments does make them affordable and provides a nice options for folks who are on a budget. And these properties often work out well for folks who are on fixed income. Our rental rates include utilities, water, power, high-speed internet. So it's very predictable monthly expense to cover just about everything you're going to need except for food and then laundry. There will be an on-site laundry facility. That is part of the requirements that we are willing to meet that was laid out by the commission. We will operate this facility as studio apartments, as an apartment complex. We utilize a professional management company. The company is already present in the area with other properties that they manage for other property owners. They are who will employ the property manager, will have a leasing agent, will have a maintenance staff, and they will ensure that there will be a 24-hour presence. Oftentimes, we have members of the management company live on site, on property, just to help make sure that we have the presence that's required. So we will operate this as you would see a brand new Class A apartment complex. It's just going to be smaller and more affordable by the nature of the product. And by reusing the structure that exists, we are able to essentially pass on the savings to the residents in the form of a lower rent, because we won't have the as high of a construction cost as you would a new build. I did believe there were some questions around, or some statements rather, around the requirements of code. We do recognize this as a change of use. So we have an architect and a professional MEP engineering team that we utilize to put together all of our drawings that are submitted to the county for a construction permit, that they will be reviewed against applicable codes. So we do recognize the process there for construction, and that we will need to bring the building up to applicable codes on the change of use. So fully aware of that and understand that, and look forward to working hand in hand with the county to get that done. That's all the kind of comments or questions that I'm just remembering offhand. I would love to answer any other questions that the commission or the team on site might have, if I haven't touched on everything that was kind of brought up.
All right, all right, go ahead, Commissioner Whiteley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Wilbanks, thank you for joining us today. I'm Commissioner Whiteley, Commissioner of the district in which your location, you're hoping to locate your facility in. One question, what would be the average rate, rental rate, if you could tell me at this point?
So we work with our management company to understand what market rates are. I'll say we have similar products in Metro Atlanta and in Rome, Georgia, and the rental rates that we see for those range between $800 and $1,200 a month. So I don't want to commit to a hard number until we get a little bit further in, but I'll offer $800 to $1,200 as a good target. That will, of course, change based on our energy costs and other costs that we see with the property. But to give you something that's a ballpark, if you will, I would be comfortable with those numbers.
I got you. Now, from your experience or your client's experience, who are the typical residents? Do you rent to killers?
So we have a wide range of clientele across our properties, and one thing I will point out is that we use a professional management company, and part of their responsibility is to manage our applicants, collect rents, maintain the building, and as part of the application process, all prospective residents undergo a background and credit check. Now we have nonprofits that we work with. We have other entities that we can help folks out if they have a limited credit history or questionable credit history. We do try to work with folks. We recognize the sector that we lease in. Sometimes folks need a chance, and we do everything we can to work with folks. But as far as the criminal background goes, we do not allow residents who have violent crimes or crimes against people. And the only way we allow folks who have any drug history is if they are actively in a recovery program with a sponsor or a counselor that they can provide documentation for.
Got it. Thank you for that. Now, what is your estimated time of construction?
The timeline, should zoning move forward appropriately, we would then work with our architect to start pulling together models and drawings, and that would have to go to the MEP team. Drawings take anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months. And then from there, once we have the drawing package, we begin the permitting process. That is varied across jurisdictions. So it really just depends on how well our architect is able to convey everything that the county would need, and then how quickly the county is able to review. So I don't know offhand what your county's typical review time period is, but let's assume that we can plug that in. And then from there, we would start construction on 120 units. We would hope to be able to finish the renovation on the 6 to 9 month time frame after receipt of permit. All of this, though, is contingent on the final sale going through as well. So with the zoning, we have fully intent to purchase. I just don't want to discount the fact that there are macroeconomic forces that at any point could change the way a potential investment would pencil or the way it would seem. So I don't want to offer 100% guarantee that we'll be able to meet that timeline due to unforeseen items, but typically we're able to get the renovation done within a year of close.
Gotcha. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Commissioner Lockett.
Mr. Wilbanks, for my sake, would you tell us how many units you will have there, and do you have on-ground security?
So the property, we are limited by the items that were provided to us from the county to 120 units. That will match or mirror the footprint typically of the property itself. So we typically aim to go 1 for 1 on a hotel conversion for rooms converting into studio apartments. We do employ on-site security depending on the way the property is performing and how we're seeing kind of what goes on at the property. Now, a lot of our properties don't necessarily have 24-hour staff all the time. We do have a lot of folks, a lot of the members of the management team that will live on property, but they're not necessarily on duty. Now, the residents do know where they're at in an emergency. They can contact them. If the commission is requiring security, that's certainly something we can entertain, and it's something that we do, but that's usually done more of a as-needed basis. So if we see that at night we're having issues, we'll bring in a security officer at night, and we'll usually vary their hours just to keep folks from or trying to predict what the schedule might be. And then if need be, we will hang on to them throughout the night.
All right, is that?
Yes.
All right, any more questions from the commission? All right, anything else, John, you need to? All right, let me have a motion to close the, yes, ma'am.
Hi, I wanted to comment that
No, you need to, yeah, plus, the first thing you do is sign up with the manager, all right? This is a public hearing, so you can sign up with the manager there, and then. All right, state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Miranda Bronner. I am a resident in Chatham County, 11 Barnett Drive, 31406. I am glad that the county commission is concerned about the lack of affordable housing. I'm glad that you're taking steps to address this. However, I think that the 800 to 1,200 a month range that he mentioned, that is not affordable. I think that with the minimum wage being what it is, in Georgia, people, if they're just barely able to make that rent, they're gonna have nothing to spend on food or childcare. They're gonna have no money left over. It's not livable. That 800 to 1,200 number, that seems more like middle class housing that's gonna be inaccessible to a large number of people in Chatham County. I think that like working with private companies who are interested in making a profit is not going to be the solution to housing. I think that we need to invest in public housing. That we need to start with the premise that housing is a right for all people, and that we should not have the goal of helping developers make a profit as our main priority. So, yeah, I want you all to consider that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Manager, you have someone else?
Yes, sir, Mr. Joseph Kim.
Yes, sir. Joseph Kemker, 306 Oak Street, Bloomingdale, Georgia. I think this is innovative and proactive. Use that word again. I think that part of town would be best served with something of that nature. You have some shopping centers around there that, they could use the clientele coming in. I know that, the more residents we have as opposed to short-term rentals, that means potentially more federal grant money, as an increased population in that district. I just think it's all around a good idea. I'd love to see some more development like that, 516 and Highway 17, that intersection right there. There's some older hotels, could potentially boost the economy out that way as well. I think it's a good idea.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, do we have anybody else? No, sir. All commissioners have any? Yes, sir.
I got the dean mic. My mic wasn't coming on either. I just want to make a statement to the young lady who just spoke. The average rent in Savannah currently is $1,684 a month, and I definitely understand your thoughts. And I will share also the county is working on other projects, to include one we're working with Habitat Humanity in Port Wentworth. So I don't want you to think that this is our only effort as it relates to affordable housing. We understand this is a big issue. Now, I want to just share, though, the other side of that. This is a private business entity. We do not own that hotel. We only own jurisdiction as it relates to government. So that's what we're administering here. Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman.
Did I get everybody? All right, let me have a motion to close the public hearing. Yes, sir. All right, point.
Would there be any limits on how many people you would allow to live in one room? Now, I guess I'm asking the gentleman that's petitioning. I'm trying to ask him a question that was your question.
Yeah, Mr. Wilbank. Is he still there?
So we, yes, sir. We typically lean on the jurisdictions to set density limits. What we typically see is 2 adults per studio unit as the limit. It gets a little bit gray when we speak to children. We do recognize that overcrowding is a concern. You have egress concerns. I'm happy to work with the commission and operate within limits. If you're asking what we would consider an appropriate number, it's 2 adults per unit.
2 adults is appropriate in your, if
MPC
we were to limit, go ahead.
So what he was speaking to in terms of density goes to units per acre. The number of occupants per room in this instance would be governed by BSRS, who's not here right now. That's health code. Those are the construction requirements that the attorney was talking about. So that number is written down. It's not in our report because it's beyond my jurisdiction, but it does exist.
Okay, and that was a 2 with y'all, when those that's already written, or?
Yeah, he want to say because it's the attorney.
Part that becomes tricky and the petitioner basically said what it's tricky is you get a single parent with 2 kids, 3 kids, good credit report, good this, good that. Do you want them living in one room together? Okay, that's just the reality of the situation. 2 adults, that's a different story now. 3 adults, I don't know about that. And that's the main thing you got to worry about is becoming overcrowded and people not doing what they're supposed to, but that's inherent in any kind of venture similar to this anywhere you try it. So you just got to wait and see how it happens. But we could put limits on it, and we'd work with them on how they handle, say, single parents with several kids.
Can you repeat that? Did you say we can put limits, or we did put limits?
We can put limits on it. I
Okay.
mean, the 2 adults, I don't see a problem with that, but I would start putting 3 or 4 people in these places. They're just not built for that.
Right, either 2 adults or 1 adult with 1 child, or something like that too?
Yeah.
So 2 people.
That's what we would think would be the easiest to handle. Now, they've done this elsewhere, and they may have some type of formula that has worked well for them, and we would certainly be willing to look at that.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I want to reemphasize something the attorney said early on. We normally don't allow this. So this is like a pilot for us. Right. So we're going to see how this works out. And I would suggest and recommend to staff, MPC staff and our building safety staff, is when they bring back the management plan, we will have that identified as to what's the density, how many people per unit, and those kind of things. Because if we don't regulate that, we can get some abuse in certain areas.
Right.
And we could, you'll have kind of deviant activities and some of the same things that Commissioner Whiteley, what we talked about with the other properties out there at Gateway. We're trying to correct that.
So we don't have to address today,
That we don't have to address today, but what we will do is.
but it will be
When the plans come
addressed
back
before
before
it
us.
actually opens.
When the management plan comes back, we will address that.
Okay.
It was the planning commission's intent that we not try to enforce preemptively.
Right.
But to see a plan. And to the attorney's point, you know, one mother, two small children, two adults. I don't know what the formula is, but there is a maximum occupancy. If you've ever been to a restaurant, there's a number on the door, how many people can occupy that space by square foot. So we'll figure that out. We don't have an answer today, nor are you required to for this first step
Right.
of this sequence of events.
It's gotta come through the management plans. All right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And know that MPC, you're planners, not implementers.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Yes, sir.
So my question is for the manager or the attorney. So when this is, you know, should we go forward with this today, the management plan, how will that present to us? Will it be in the form of a certificate of occupancy approval, or what would be the action that would bring it before this commission?
We would want to see copies of the typical type lease they have, typical type of profile that they use in requirements for, you know, renting to people, and other things concerning their operations. Do they have a set of rules that everybody has to abide by? How do they enforce those rules?
Not to cut you off, I understand what would be in it. What I'm saying is what action would the commission take when it's, because it says that it'll be submitted to the commission, right?
well,
So
what
when it's submitted to us, what action would we be taking? Would it be like an approval or disapproval of their management plan?
Sure.
Okay, gotcha, just keeping it
Is
simple.
I mean,
Because you're gonna have to do county's gonna have to issue a certificate of occupancy.
Yeah,
And at that point, we'll bring it back to you.
and we would work with these folks, I mean, and review their stuff and make suggestions, and I'm sure building safety will make some suggestions about their concerns. You're gonna have 120 kitchens here, so.
Right.
You know, you need to be aware of that. And then when we think we've got it as good as we know how to do it, we're gonna bring it up here, and somebody might have a better idea, or may say, oh, it's the greatest thing since can be, or something.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to be clear on how we can expect to see it so that the developers are on the same page, but also the public and the neighbors are on the same page as to what the next steps would be. So thank you for that.
All right, did I have everybody now? Let me have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Properly motion and second that we close the public hearing. Ready for the question, please cast your votes. All votes are in, all right? Now, may I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reading as stated on the agenda. Oh,
With the conditions, yeah. The
Excuse me.
conditions are part of the recommendation.
so let me
Yeah.
rephrase my motion. I'd like to
Okay.
I move that we accept the second reading as stated on the agenda to include the conditions that have been recommended by the MPC and staff.
All right. Properly motion and second. Ready for the question? Please cast your votes. All right, we're good. Let's go to Mr. Manager. You on with information?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. In front of you, you should have, for your information, some updates from our strategic planning department. And one thing I want to highlight is, as of today, December 6th, we're opening up our blueprint process. That will be on the county's website. So if anyone who wants to apply to the county for blueprint funding, now's the time to get started. And we are accepting applications. Also, want to highlight the Live Oak Public Library's Reading Challenge, their Winter Reading Challenge program, which starts December 2nd through January 3rd. And those are my updates, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Well, there is a need for us to have executive session, so may I have a motion to recess to executive session? Second? Probably motion is second? Yeah. Appointment, litigation, and acquisition. Personnel, all right? All right? Cast your votes. See you in the executive session.
We all want to live in a community where our children are healthy, ready for school, and succeed when they get there. But many external factors have an impact on the success of coastal Georgia's children and youth, such as divorce or neglect in the home, poverty and food insecurity in the community, even environmental disruptors such as violent storms or a pandemic. Fact is, our state ranks 37th in the nation for